Shoot your arrows! Cooper Kupp plucks it out of the air and gives the Rams the lead. Robert Woods, touchdown! LA! Goff goes crashing into the end zone. Aaron Donald almost beat the football there. Corey Littleton, have yourself a day. Picked off. Marcus Peters coming off the edge, and Ryan will be wrapped up by Clay Matthews. Everett in stride! Wow!
Franklin Myers gets his hand down there.
Little got a hand on it. Did he pick it? He did!
Racing down the sideline is Akeem Talib. Gurley for MVP! Touchdown LA!
Picked off by John Johnson.
Well, Dante Fowler, who is able to get to Breeze. Greg Zuerlein sends the Rams to the Super Bowl! LA will play for the Lombardi!
All right, join the show. We have former Wake Forest wide receiver Alex Bachman, now Rams wide receiver. How's it going, man? Thanks so much for coming on.
No, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. We're excited to talk to you. And just to start this off, we just want to hear a little bit about how you got into the game of football.
Growing up, my dad always had it on his television on weekends. My mom went to Florida State, and so I was a big FSU fan actually growing up. I probably started getting into it more so about the age of 6 or 7 was when I started watching football with my dad. And then my parents didn't really believe in putting me in tackle when I was, so young. So I started off with flags about 4th grade. And then I played my first year of tackle football in 8th grade. And then just, at the time when I was little, I was pretty much faster than everybody. So I would I was playing running back and quarterback and pretty much not throwing the ball, just kind of wildcat and just having fun doing that. But then I started to realize as I got older that I was probably not going to be, 6'4", 6'5". So I made a transition to receiver. And then I've just been playing that pretty much ever since that or defensive back in high school as well.
Yeah, and, growing up, did you have a favorite, football player you looked up to?
Reggie Bush was always on our TV on weekends. He was at SC when I was pretty much getting into the game. And so pretty much on Saturdays I'd watch him play, and then I would have my flag football games, and I would go out and try and mimic what he was doing on the field. So that was probably my number one inspiration growing up, just because he was so dangerous and fun to watch. And in terms of what I was doing when I was growing up, I would always try and make a guy miss like him, return punts and kicks, and just try and be the next Reggie Bush, because that's just, as an LA kid growing up, and the USC was the top team in the country. Every kid in my area was trying to be like him. So
yeah, and you ended up having your college career at Wake Forest. What was your overall experience there like?
It was great. It was a tough transition originally, because going 2,000 miles away from home, living in California my entire life. It can be a little tough with having to learn. It's just a little bit of a different culture out there. More Southern people are really nice. All the Southern hospitality that I wasn't really used to, so that was kind of nice. But Coach Clausen was building a culture there, a good locker room culture with guys who really love football. So that made it a lot easier being around people that were like-minded and, were guys that, off the field were people that I could still hang around with and knew I wasn't going to get in any trouble, and would still be able to talk football. And it was just a really good locker room culture. And so I hats off to Coach Clausen for, building that type of, culture around the entire football program and being able to win with it too as well.
Yeah, culture is definitely a huge thing. Obviously, that's one thing that your new head coach, Sean McVay, has really established in that Rams locker room. But, sticking with your Wake Forest days, if you had to pick one, what would you say was your one shining moment from your college days?
I'd probably say it was probably my last game. As a senior, you never know the way things are going to flow. So, you're only guaranteed that one last game in terms of football because you never know how the next level is going to pan out and whatnot. So you want to come out on top. And we had an opportunity to win our third straight bowl game for the first time in Wake Forest football history. And I had my career high at 170 yards. I was getting me and my quarterback were just on the same page, and so I kept getting my number called, and I was just able to make some plays to really put us in position to help us win. And it felt really good to go out like that, not only with a great individual performance, but a great team performance, and stamp our names in kind of the Wake Forest history books.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, and obviously you end your college career and then the pre-draft process starts. What was the pre-draft process like for you?
It was smooth for the most part. Being out from, near Los Angeles, I have a lot of resources out here. This is where there's a lot of big-time training facilities because a lot of the professional athletes in the off-season, this is where they come out to train. And so I have a facility 10, 15 minutes from my house that is well known for that. They train a lot of the Rams. They have a lot of, pro athletes and, pro volleyball, basketball, football that come there during the off season. And they also had a pre-draft combine training for a lot of the, high profile guys going in this year's draft. So for me, it was pretty easy because I could still stay at home while a lot of people have to travel far away from their homes to do that whole draft process. So I was able to, be close to home, see my family every night, and then, still be able to do that and train with some, high-profile names like Quentin Williams and Greedy Williams. And I was catching balls from Dwayne Haskins and Johnny Manziel. So there's just a lot of guys, coming out this way that I was able to work with and had the opportunity to work with. And then the facility I was at is actually called Mamba Sports Academy. So Kobe Bryant co-owns it. So he came in and spoke to us. There's every week is a new week. There's somebody new that you get to meet and have the opportunity to pick their brain a little bit. Whether it was, Kobe or Jamie Foxx came in, I got to ask them questions just to find out their mindset and how they became successful. And, you learn different mindsets and the ways that people become successful, and you kind of add it to, I guess, your train of thought.
Yeah, and this offseason, what would you say you improved on the most in regards to your game?
I really wanted to showcase my speed. I think, the typical white receiver is known for, his high football IQ, having good technique, good route running. But there's always the question mark of how athletic they are. So I wanted to showcase that not only was I a guy who was reliable and knew the game of football well, but that I was also a guy who could be a deep threat. So I really focused on my 40 starts every day. I would get to the facility about an hour and a half early, and I would catch balls off the jugs, and then I would work on my 40 starts with our speed coach. So I was able to really improve my start and then also improve my top speed so that I could run my best 40 time and turn some heads on my pro day.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I just kind of want to touch on a little bit really quickly, but, UDFA starts and you're picked up by the Rams. I mean, what was that whole 24, 48 hour period like after the draft ended?
It was kind of weird for me. I don't know if you can still hear me connecting my phone. I'm trying to connect my Bluetooth in the car, but can you still hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. It was pretty surreal. I think it was very relieving too to finally, after it's a really long process. a full semester of school of just training and, not really sure where you're going to end up. You could be in one of 32 cities, and you have no idea where you're going to go. But it was pretty relieving knowing that I was going to be in a place where I'm comfortable and I was familiar with. I grew up, I was born at a hospital, 1.5 miles away from the facility that I'm training at. The school, Cal Lutheran University itself, is a school that I grew up around. My aunt went there. But I also have my quarterback from Wake, John Wolford, who signed about a month ago. And then our running back, Matt Colburn from Wake, is also coming in. So I'm going to have some familiar faces, which is kind of nice to have. And I don't know, it was just pretty cool. I got a lot of support, a lot of messages. Like my phone, I had to turn off at one point because it was just blowing up a little bit too much. And then, but it's cool to get around my family. And, I don't think it ever has really kicked in yet until I'll put on a helmet and uniform or playing my first game because, it's just been something that I've been dreaming of since I was little. And a lot of people have dreams, and most people never really get to see those out. So being one of those guys who had a dream since he was a kid and being able to, actually live it is, I think, pretty cool. And, I thank God for it every day that I've been able to make this far. And I'm hoping that this is just the beginning.
Yeah, just take me through that whole, that process, right after the draft. Is your mindset more, you just want to sign anywhere and get started immediately, or you kind of just want to wait till, some really nice opportunity, presents itself?
So for me, my job experience might not have been the typical UDFA because my agent had been talking to a lot of teams beforehand, and we had pretty much made the decision that as a UDFA, you get to choose where you want to go, and so if 3 or 4 teams call, you get to choose where you want to go. But we had pretty much selected that with the interest from the Rams and having my quarterback there. McVay's system really fits me. Because honestly, the more complicated the playbook is, the better for me. Like we said, it's right here at home. I have other connections so that it would be a place I was comfortable with. I felt like it was just the best fit for me. So going into the draft, that was the team that I was going to sign with if my name wasn't going to get called. I liked, the possibility of being in LA so much that I was kind of crossing my fingers toward the end of the draft that, one, either they weren't going to select a receiver because they had told me before the draft they weren't. And so I was banking on them, coming through and with that promise, and then also having to pick up the phone and go somewhere else. So I knew about the beginning of the 7th round that, the contract was already starting to come and play. All that had to happen was the draft end, my name not be selected, and them obviously not choose a wide receiver in either of their last couple picks.
Yeah, and had you met with them at all pre-draft, or just talked over the phone?
Just talked over the phone. I had met with scout Michael Pierce at my pro day. I was looking forward to getting an invitation to the local pro day for the Rams. I came to find out later on that they actually never had one. For whatever reason, some teams just don't have them. So I went to the Chargers pro day and did theirs down there. They had been they had been showing tons of interest. They had been lighting on my agent's phone. Specifically, John McKay had one of the pro scouts was hitting my agent's phone, talking to me. Coach Yarber, the receiver coach, was contacting me. He was actually contacting my high school football coach, or should I say the coach at my head coach at my high school right now, which is down the street. Coach Charlie Collins. Coach Collins was not there when I was in high school, unfortunately. I wish he was. I've known him since I was about middle school. He coached Chad Johnson and Steve Smith. He was a receiver coach in the league for a little bit. So, but he's one of Coach Jarvis' best friends. So he called Coach Collins and asked questions about me. So I knew there was a ton of interest from several different people, and they had told my agent Saturday morning that I was the number one receiver on their board, but because it wasn't a top need for them, that they weren't going to draft anybody. So they were hoping that my name was still available after the draft. So that was knowing that I was also a priority and not looked at as just some other random undrafted free agent was also another reason why I wanted to sign there.
Yeah, no, that's that's awesome, obviously, and you played with Matt Colburn, who we spoke with as well, and you guys are going to be reunited again. You mentioned John Wolford. I want to get your thoughts on something kind of funny. Greg Dortch, obviously. You guys obviously had a lot of talent at Wake Forest, and everyone was expecting like Dortch to run the 4.3s, but you ended up actually beating him in the 40 time. Did you rub that in his face or do anything like that?
No, because for us it's all measurables. We know at the end of the day, football is football. So, and especially a guy with Greg, I don't think those pro days help him because at the end of the day, his best ability is to make you miss, and that's not something you can really measure. He's just a guy who's really elusive with the football, and he's got fantastic hands. He's just a fantastic football player, but his measurables are never gonna jump off the charts because of his size and whatnot. But yeah, it's not something I need to brag about or anything. I think it was actually more important for me to run a fast 40 than for him because of the amount of targets and catches and highlights he has. I personally needed something to jump off the page a little bit more. So going into pro day than he did because of all the numbers he's already put up. I think his highlights and his tape speak for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I just kind of am curious, what are you most excited about as, you enter Rams rookie minicamp? Is there any one thing that you're excited about, or are you just kind of taking it all in?
No, I wouldn't say anything in particular. I just miss football. It's been a while since I've been around a team, had that team aspect and the locker room aspect, and, been able to go out and play football. So now it's my livelihood, which is kind of cool because for me, I'm never going to see it really as a job. It's just going out and having fun and playing football and just kind of learning how to be a pro. I told my mom after I got drafted, I was like, hey, Mom, I got a job. So it's kind of just learning how to live independently and start, learn how to live on your own, take care of yourself, and just be a pro on and off the field.
Yeah, I definitely, I hear you there. I just want to, ask you, it's kind of like a wrap-up question we like to ask, but, to the Rams listeners out there, what are the Rams fans and what are the Rams mainly getting in Alex Bachman as a player on the field and a person off of it?
I think they're getting a guy who's extremely hardworking. Me and Greg, I would say, actually, are probably the most competitive people I know. I refuse to lose in pretty much anything. That's just how I'm wired. It's how I've always been wired. And I'm a guy who's just dependable. I know my job. I know what I'm supposed to do. And I'm a guy on, third down when you need, need a big time player at catch, who's going to usually come through with that. So, and then off the field, I'm just a normal guy. I don't know how. I'm not really used to like the big limelight or anything, but I just like to be treated like, everybody else. Just a guy who, just likes to be around his family. I like to travel. But I'm also a guy who likes to, crack jokes and have fun and just, enjoy, life in itself. So that's just a little bit about me. I'm big on faith and my Christianity and just kind of just being a guy who's always just tried to do the right thing and inspire others, to do the same.
Yeah. We love it. We love talking to you, and we're excited to see you in a Rams uniform. And, we will definitely keep in touch, and we'll be cheering you on.
No, absolutely, guys. I appreciate the phone call and appreciate the interview.
Absolutely, man. You take care and stay healthy, and we'll be in touch.
Yeah, sounds good. You guys have a good rest of your night.
All right. You too, Alex. Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.